everyone. I am doing a video right now about how the inner child correlates with the Enneagram or fits in with the Enneagram. And I'm doing this because the other day I was having a conversation with a client, and it was really funny because she basically said, so I gotta be honest with you, the other day when you brought up that whole inner child thing, I was a little like, okay, whatever. and I think that most people feel that way, and I did too. You know, it was like I'm an Enneagram 8 personality. I'm not a big feeler. I don't like to express emotion. I don't like to feel emotion. And so now you want me to talk to you about my inner child. Okay. Yeah, I totally get it. I'm going to explain my perception of it and how the inner child relates to the Enneagram and how you use it with the Enneagram. So basically, the Enneagram explains to you, as you'll see in chapter 1 if you haven't already watched it, that how the personality types were each formed in childhood based on their childhood wound. And then that childhood wound tells you it helps reveal to you what then your patterns have become in your adulthood. So what happens as a child is we are wounded in some way, sometimes in infancy, sometimes in just early childhood or what have you. And it makes an impression on our subconscious in a way where we are actually acting, we are reacting from those moments forward based on that information that's in our subconscious. So, for example, Enneagram 8, my thing is being worried about being rejected or judged. Rejection is huge for me. And so my patterns in adulthood have been, I am always trying to protect myself from being rejected. So whether that means that control is a huge one for 8s. So I am always trying to control my environment. I sometimes try to control people. Sometimes I'm major in, worried about my own self-control around other people, for example. And it's all as a result of not wanting to be judged or rejected. And this is just a very simple example. I got a whole bunch of other stuff. Depending on how much time you have, we can talk about it. Anyway, so the rejection that I experienced as a child had an impression on me, and now I'm always reacting, less and less now, but typically that is my go-to, is to be reactive when I'm worried about being rejected or judged. And so what happened as a child, as an 8, when my personality was being formed, is that I perceived that I was being rejected. This does not have to be actual events. It could be your perception, because your perception is your reality. So I perceived that I was being rejected, and I put up walls and decided that I had to be in control of everything around me in order to be safe and for everything to be okay, because I had to take care of myself. So at that point, when that information was put into my subconscious, I abandoned my child and never connected with her again until I was 45 years old. And at that point, I began to understand very clearly how my childhood wounds were translating into all of the decisions that I had made my entire life. They literally dictated the entire dictated all of the decisions that I had made up until now. And so what you have to do in order to move past or move with your stuff more gracefully is you have to reconnect with that child. And in order to do that, you have to go back to the experience of what the wound was, how it was created, and feel the feelings, feel the experience. Because then and only then are they able to start leaving your body. So especially when you're in the body triad like I am, among 8s, 9s, and 1s, we harbor, and everyone does, all of our trauma, emotion, repressed emotions, all of that in our bodies, and you have to get it out. Your nervous system cries to relax itself, right? It's a release. You have to release these experiences to be able to move more gracefully forward. And so that is how the child actually the inner child is involved in the Enneagram and how you utilize it for your benefit. So you can call the inner child a lot of different things. I like to call it your essence, because really that is, your child, even though you have disconnected from it at an early age to be able to protect yourself. And then you have all of these defense mechanisms that you're using until your adult life, when you turn 45 and go, oh, hey, maybe I should do something differently. You've disconnected. You have to reconnect by having the experience. I recommend the way to do that, because I get asked this all the time. So, okay, now I know this. Now what do I do? So what you do is, I would do a guided meditation, or a guided hypnosis, or talk to a coach. That was the way that I did it, among a lot of other things, many things. But talking with a coach allowed me to finally unpack enough of the layers to be able to see things for how they really were. And then I was able to start releasing that emotion and letting it go through conversation. Journaling is another way. Guided meditations, hypnosis. There's a laundry list of ways that you can start releasing, coming to terms with, because that's the first step, right? You have to even know what the experiences are. And when you're someone who has been in complete denial, or thinking that it's right, our defense mechanism is denial, so that's why I throw that out there. But when you're someone who has been avoiding pain your entire life, you're not super interested in digging all that up. However, once it starts to release, things start to open, and you start to see your way through the experience and how to get beyond I call it a prison, because I think that really, in a way, you are keeping yourself in a box or a prison until you understand all of this information. So getting to the bottom of it and figuring out what were your experiences and how did they dictate your life and your guide you up until now, and then how can you use these tools to be able to move more gracefully forward and be able to communicate better and be in better relationships. Just feel better because you are being your true authentic self. So I hope that was helpful information. Just a little bit more about the Enneagram. I'm going to try and be putting out these videos every few days, just so that I can give you a little bit. I just like these little tips and tricks so that you don't have to watch some big long video that's scripted, and I can just kind of free talk, real talk with you about how the Enneagram has affected my life and impacted me. So I hope you have an awesome afternoon, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Please click subscribe and share my video with anyone that you feel might benefit from it. Thank you so much for watching.